Hey guys, well congratulations, you made it to the end of METC 107, which has been a very strange semester. So hopefully things in the future go a little more smoothly for us. But I want to show you guys what you need to know for the final exam so you can wrap this class up. You do need to have the final exam finished by, if we go down here, you got to have it done by May 15th, which is a Friday. So Friday, May 15th at 11:59 p.m. is the deadline. I'm turning this on Monday morning at 12:01 a.m. so you guys can have basically the whole week to work on it. Just a couple of notes as you work through the final exam. It is open book, so you're allowed to look around for answers as you take the test. You can look at YouTube videos, you can go back to my lectures, you can Google search if you need to, help files, whatever. You guys are doing this at home, obviously, so you can go through and use any resource available to you to try and accomplish this test. So there's no time limit on it other than it needs to be done by the end of the week. So once you click on the test, you can leave it and come back to it later. Probably better just to sit down and do it all at once if you can, but if you do need to leave in the middle for some reason, you can save it. Don't submit it. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. You don't want to submit it, but you can save it and come back to it later. Okay. So we'll look really quick at what do you need to do for the final exam. We'll look at the questions so you know what's expected of you, and specifically the 3 questions at the end, which are your modeling questions. I want to show you those so you know what you're supposed to do. So let me switch my Ivy Learn over to my student view here really quick, so you guys are seeing exactly, or so I'm seeing exactly what you guys see. And that way we know what everything looks like. All right, so you guys are going to go to modules. And we're going to go down to final exam. You can click on the final exam link right here. These 2 files will have starter files when we get to the end. So just remember that those are there. We'll come back to those in a little bit. I do like to do the test in a different browser tab. So I usually right click and go open link in new tab. That way I can go back to Ivy Learn and get to these starter files if I need to. So in here are some instructions. So you've got till Friday, May 15th. I put the time or the deadline in there. And you can hit take the quiz. It is 100 points. There's 13 questions. The last 3 questions are your practical questions where you'll use Inventor. So the first 10 questions here are basically multiple choice, fill in the blank, matching. So you can, tell the names of these, for instance. So A, if I go to A, well, what kind of bearing is that? So you can match up the name with the picture. There's some fill in the blanks. Again, the fill in the blanks, when you do some of these, the computer will grade them wrong because it counts for case sensitivity, spelling, punctuation. So when you submit your test, it's probably going to tell you that you got a really bad score. The other thing is that the questions at the end, it doesn't grade at all. It just gives you zeros on them. So when you turn your test in, it's going to tell you that you did awful. It's going to tell you did like a 30% or something worse probably than that, like a 12%. Ignore the score that it gives you when you turn your test in. It is completely meaningless. I will still go through and grade every single question on your test manually, but the computer tries to grade stuff on its own and it's not good at it. So ignore the score you get at the end. I will go through and grade every question on every person's test. So some fill in the blanks. This one is multiple answer, so you can choose more than one answer on this if you need to. Short answer question, another multiple answer, matching, another short answer. Okay, so the first 10 questions come from the lecture material. If you need to, you can go back and look at that stuff and try and find the answers. But the ones I really want to talk about here are the last 3 questions on the test. So when you get to question 11, these are where most of the points are. So this is 20 points, question 12 is 15 points, and question 13 is 20 points. So this makes up over half your test. So what you guys are going to do on question 11 is I have given you the folder in Ivy Learn that has all these part files in it already. You're going to assemble them together so they look like this. Okay, these 2 views you do not have to create. They're just for you to use so you know what I want. This is what's in the folder in Ivy Learn. So I gave you these pieces already set up in that folder that you're going to download. This is an exploded view that I'm just giving to you. You do not have to make this view. This just shows you how these pieces go together. And then the last one, this is what yours should look like when you're done. So you're just making the IAM assembly file, okay? So some notes about that. When you make that, I want this piece down here to be the grounded or the base component for your assembly. So this is the one that you want to attach everything else to, and it's the one in your browser tree on the left-hand side that you should ground. No other pieces should be grounded, and you're going to use the constraints that we looked at in the assembly environment to put these pieces together. So mate, flush, insert, probably will do what you need. You want to eliminate all the degrees of freedom from these pieces, except some of them are allowed to rotate. So if you have rotational degrees of freedom, like the pulley at the end or the fasteners, if they rotate in their locations, that is completely fine, okay? But what I don't want is when I grade the pieces, like if I grade your assembly file and I can take this bracket and click on it and drag it off to the side, you don't have enough constraints on there. So check your degrees of freedom in your assembly tab and make sure that your degrees of freedom have been removed except for rotational degrees on some of the pieces, okay? So when you get done, what you guys are going to do is you're going to save your assembly file into the folder of part files that I gave you, and then you'll compress it and upload the whole folder. So when you turn this in, I have to have all the pieces and your assembly file together in a folder that is compressed. If you don't do that, you'll lose points on this question, okay? So make sure everything is compressed, put together in the same folder, and then uploaded. On question 12, this one I gave you guys already put together, and you're going to make the exploded assembly drawing for this. So if you go here, I have a compressed folder for you that has the assembly already put together. So you can download that zip file, extract it, and when you get in here, you're going to find this assembly and all these pieces already put together in that folder. So I built this whole part for you already. What you're going to do is you're going to create the exploded view. So you're going to take my assembly into a presentation file or an IPN file and explode it apart so that it looks like this. After you do that, you're going to create the drawing page on the METC title block. So on your drawing page, I want you guys to set up an assembly view on your drawing page that looks like this. And you're going to set up an exploded assembly view that looks like this, okay? So you'll put this together, this assembly, or sorry, exploded assembly and assembly onto the METC template. The view settings, like for each of the views, I've got set up right here. So this is going to show you where they go. It's basically, it's the standard setup for an assembly drawing that I showed you guys like we did in the video together. So you have your assembly view, your exploded assembly, and then your bill of materials up in the corner on your METC title block. But the specific setup and scaling for the views I have listed out right here. And again, when you upload this one, you'll put your presentation file and your drawing file into a folder along with the assembly file I gave you and all the part files I gave you. So everything goes in one folder, zip it or compress it, and then you take that compressed folder and upload it into the question right here. So you can go to choose a file, you'll choose the compressed folder because IvyLearn's only going to let you put one file in there at a time, but if you compress it, it looks like it is one file to IvyLearn, and it'll let you put that whole folder in there if it's, if it's compressed. So that's question 11 and 12. Question 13, there's no starting file. You're going to do this one on your own. This one is just a standard part modeling question with a drawing. So you're going to model this piece and then recreate an METC drawing template of it when you're done that looks like this. Okay, so this one you can extrude if you want, you can revolve, you can use the hole tool or the extrude tool. A couple things to note on this though. So when you model this thing, notice this hole, or really these three holes at the top, are threaded. So they're M3 by 0.5 thread, all three of them. So don't just cut a hole through there, it should have threads in the top of it. And then there's also a chamfer on the front right here, a 45-degree chamfer that's 1 millimeter, and a chamfer on this corner too. So watch out for the chamfers and the threads on the holes. This drawing is metric, so you're going to model it in millimeters, and your drawing template will be the metric template also. So make sure you're using the correct units of measurement. When you get done modeling the IPT file, you're going to put it on an METC drawing page on the drawing template, and you're going to set up the view as shown here. So basically you're going to be copying the drawing setup here. So you're going to make your front view. Your right side view is going to be a section view where you cut through the front view with the section tool. put that view over here. Your isometric view is shaded up in the corner, so I've listed out the requirements for the views. Choose an appropriate scale that fits on the page, and then you're going to put the dimensions around the outside. So you're basically recreating this drawing. So model the part, then set up the drawing page, and follow this as closely as you can, but again on the METC template. Okay, so that is the entirety of your final exam. Don't hit the submit button until you are completely done. So if you want to work on this for a while and leave and come back to it later, you'll notice that Ivy Learn automatically saves this anytime you make a change. So mine has saved several times since I've been in here already. It last saved it 3 minutes ago. So if you want to leave this and come back to it later, don't hit submit. This is kind of counterintuitive for people, and they don't want to do it because they're afraid they'll lose their work. But if I have, like several of these questions answered, like let's say I answered this one, and maybe, this one, and this one. So it saves your quiz every time you make a change. So if I leave now and go to the Home tab, if I go back in there, it should have hopefully saved my answers. So I'm going to go back to modules. So let's say I take a break for half an hour or for 2 days or whatever. If I come back to that final exam, it'll have a button in there that says resume, and you can go right back where you left off. Okay, so there's no actual time limit. Once you click into the test, you can work on it as long as you need to, and you'll see it saves your answers. But if you're going to leave and take a break, don't hit the submit button. You only want to hit submit when you are completely done with everything and you're not coming back to make any changes. Okay, so that's the requirements for your final exam. If you have questions or issues, where you need clarity on something, you can email me. Obviously, I can't tell you how to do something, but if you need, just information about what is required, you're welcome to email me, jhamilton83@ivtech.edu. Make sure, again, you have this done by 11:59 p.m. on Friday night, May 15th. That'll be the deadline. So good luck. Hopefully I can see you guys around on campus in the summer or fall if things kind of go back to normal. But I hope you learned something this semester. This isn't how we wanted things to end, of course. But if you stuck around through the second half of the class and did the online thing with me, I appreciate it. I hope I made it somewhat valuable to you still and that you learned something out of this. And again, I hope to see you guys in the fall semester under more normal circumstances. So if I don't see you again or talk to you, thanks for being in my class, and have a great summer.